Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video I'm going to be doing a voiceover of Cindy's 75 unique battles. So this is the 75 unique Pokemon challenge battles, I should say. This is in the Great League, this is in Season 8. Decided to shoutcast this so I can provide a little bit more perspective around the team building process. So she gave me a list of Pokemon. She had like 77 Great League Pokemon that were like ready, quote unquote ready, and then she had like 15 other ones that she was like willing to power up because she had good IVs or the candy or whatever the reason was. So what I did was I put together the teams. You can imagine like some of these Pokemon are not so great that she put in or didn't really fit in because they were like used in very specialized cups and they're not that great in Open Great League. And the challenge here is to put together a team that can like roughly handle the meta. Obviously, you're using a lot of different Pokemon and a limited number of Pokemon to choose from, so there's going to be holes in them. So this first team, for example, is Crustle, Haunter, and Gloom. So the concept here is that Crustle is pretty weak to fighters, to like Shadow Machamp, for example, and you want Haunter and Gloom, both Pokemon that are poison types that resist fighting, and as well like Crustle is a bug type, so in theory could handle a Confusion user by using X Scissor. It was super effective, but obviously if someone led Swampert, like you would have to go straight to Haunter, which you can beat Swampert straight Shadow Punch in the 2 shield, but it would be a pretty tough situation. So obviously there's holes in each of these teams, but I think for the most part, like you want to kind of be able to handle like have an objective with each team. Okay, I'm looking to cover this, and this is my plan. So obviously she makes some mistakes along the way. I appreciate Cindy giving this challenge a shot. Obviously, the first couple of battles are early rank ones, so don't mind the misplays by the opponents. These people are probably just looking to battle, not take it too seriously. But let's go ahead and get started with the battle. Again, the first team is Crustle, Haunter, and Gloom. Haunter and Gloom also handle Azumarill very well, since they both have grass and poison moves. So Zebstrika is the first Pokemon here. So Zebstrika has Spark, Wild Charge, and Flame Charge. I actually completely forgot it had Wild Charge. I thought it had Discharge for some reason. So the Wild Charge actually did like a boatload of damage, but is able to get to the X Scissor still, which is good because this X Scissor will KO. So she makes a really smart play here by switching out into Haunter, allowed her to farm down the Zebstrika beforehand. Okay, so this is obviously not great. She goes for the Sludge Bomb, which is obviously this is not a Pokemon she uses a lot, so it was the incorrect play. I don't think it makes too big a difference here because okay, well they go for the Acid Spray because she makes it to another punch anyways, and actually one Sludge Bomb actually does more than one Shadow Punch, I believe. But she probably would have made it to 3 Shadow Punches there. But it doesn't really matter too much here. They actually have energy for the Acid Spray. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't throw it. And then here comes the Magmar, and this game's over. This Magmar has Karate Chop, Fire Punch, Fire Blast probably, or is just a random Pokemon that they had around 1500 CB. So this next team is very similar. Alolan Golem, Gengar, and Jumpluff, 2 Pokemon that can handle fighting in the back. So she actually has the incorrect moveset here, or at least the ones that we talked about. Wild Charge definitely would have been better here, because you probably could have built up to 2 Wild Charges and threw them back to back. And the timing of the Volt Switch could have been a little bit better there, because it meant that she wasn't able to get the move off, which is okay, which is fine. Just trying to learn the timing of the moves is really important there. Knowing that when you throw one 4-turn move and they have a 3-turn move, they're going to be able to get off 2 3-turn moves before you're able to get off the charge moves. So probably could have thrown the Rock Blast there. Okay, they come into they catch a move here. I'm not sure if they just randomly switched or so she ends up throwing the Aerial Ace Bait, which they ended up falling for. Probably was going to be more straightforward if she just threw the Energy Ball right away, because it definitely would have been able to outpace this Vaporeon. And looking to farm down. This Vaporeon probably had a Water Pulse, which is why it didn't get off a move. If it had something else, then So she goes slightly over 100 here, which is okay. And then the stream kind of glitched out there, but that's totally fine. And then she's able to Shadow Claw down, which is great, and then able to throw the Sludge Bomb here, which is going to deal super effective damage to this, to this Wigglytuff. So nice second game there, which is great. She's going to lead getting knocked out into Sharpedo. Not the worst case scenario here, but certainly not the best. So she goes over energy and they end up switching out, which is not too great. Okay, so she goes into Coalfish here. She looks to... They do have Wild Charge. So this is likely a Wild Charge. Gonna look to farm down. And then here comes Zebstrika again. So again, has Spark, likely Wild Charge. This is also like a 1300 CP one here. She considers going up to Sludge Wave, but Zebstrika is pretty squishy. Plus, it's only 1300 CP, and it looks like it just barely missed out on the move here. And then Sharpedo, obviously, all we know is like made of glass, right? It's just extremely squishy there, so it's gonna be a GG right there. This next team is Toxicroak, Zangoose, and Blastoise. Zangoose is supposed to be the hard counter to Confusion users. So she switches out to Zangoose. It's kind of a weird play here, but that's okay. Mostly because Zangoose fast moves are double resisted by Wigglytuff here. And then Toxicroak can at least take a shield with neutral counters and Sludge Bomb. And potentially you can double bait there. So Scrafty, not the best scenario here. So she's going to throw this Hydro Cannon, hopefully to grab a shield or do some damage. Ends up grabbing a shield. So she switches out. Probably could have switched out a little bit faster. If she would have switched out a little bit faster. So the thing is, like, she has to shield something at some point in time, right? So she's going to look to counter down. And honestly, Toxicroak is so squishy and this Scrafty is so bulky here. Ends up being a power-up punch. If she would have switched a little bit sooner, she would have prevented that. She ends up going for the farm down, which is the correct play there. Yeah, if she would have switched out as soon as she could, then... So she throws the Sludge Bomb here, which might seem like a misplay, but again, Sludge Bomb does more than the Mud Bomb, so it is the correct play. And then gonna go for the Hydro Cannon here. And it does a decent amount of damage there. They're gonna make it to the Sky Attack here. It's actually gonna be a really close game here. So as long as she tries one Air Slash, they're gonna actually simultaneously KOing here. So if she threw the Mud Bomb there, she actually probably would have lost. By throwing the Sludge Bomb there, it actually ended up being correct, just because Mud Bomb's like a really bad move. So it ends up in a tie. So she's running Escavalier and then double water. The concept here is to have two Pokemon that protect against fire. So she goes against Electrode here. Given the huge energy advantage she got from the opponent lagging, she can just go straight Hydro Pump here and be able to win this matchup. So she actually lets this go. It's going to have to shield this. So the thing is that she can survive the Volt Switches because the Volt Switches are neutral to Lantern, since it's a water and electric type. And looks like they're considering farming down. Fortunately for them, she's able to get the Hydro Pump on the last Volt Switch that would have KO'd and able to win Switch here, which is actually really huge. And they go into Diggersby, and then not the best situation, but you just want any chip damage here. I'm surprised that Diggersby didn't throw the Fire Punch, but I'm actually not entirely sure why it didn't throw the Fire Punch here. It threw the Earthquake. I guess it would have lived the Fire Punch. And then going to switch out here to Gyarados here, and going to look to farm down. Very nice. And then this is just a formality at this point in time. Going to throw the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, unfortunately, is a very weak move, so this is actually not going to KO, but it doesn't really matter with the shield. Even without the shield, unless the Ninetales got Solar Beam, then it was going to be a GG regardless. So, Skarmory into Abomasnow. This is okay. The Shadow Abomasnow actually wins this matchup. So, she's going to throw the Brave Bird here. She doesn't have a great answer to Jellicent. And they actually no-shield the Brave Bird, which is pretty good for her. Definitely no shield regardless here. Probably could have farmed down, maybe? I don't know. Okay, and then they come into Abomasnow here. So you definitely no shield this, and they actually end up going for the Weather Ball because they're looking to farm down. Maybe consider baiting here. It's kind of hard to say because this Blizzard would almost certainly KO even debuffed at half health. It's kind of a tricky situation here. She kind of needs like a bunch of air slashes to come through. Okay, gonna shield this. Probably gonna let this one go. These weather balls do so much damage. Gonna look to. Okay, she has to shield this because she does have the bubble Mantine, and gonna look to farm down. She threw an extra air slash there, which I think is a mistake, because she just should have just thrown the Sky Attack right away. But I guess it doesn't really make too big a difference here. Mantine and Skarmory have the exact same stats, so from a Poké perspective, so it's able to live the Rock Slide despite being super effective damage. It's pretty tanky. Gonna land this Ice Beam here, and that's gonna be enough to take out the Shadow Machamp. I think looking back on this team, I think Wing Attack is better because I think it's a better safe switch in case they come in grass onto it. But it's kind of a hard call here. So she has two better answers to Charm. So just going to look to try to take a shield advantage here. And then come into Melmetal. And they have Politoed. So she makes kind of a mistake here. She can live a Weather Ball. But obviously you can kind of predict what the mistake is going to be. They actually end up Earthquaking, which is a very gutsy move there. Which means that the Wing Attack plus Poison Fang is not going to be enough. Yeah. So she's going to have to shield one and then probably let another one go. Kind of weird desync CMP. Golbat definitely should have won CMP versus the Politoed there, so it's kind of weird. Let's okay. Here comes Bastiodon, but this is actually fine for her because she can. As weird as this sounds, you need to build up a little bit against the Wigglytuff because you need to make sure you can outpace the Bastiodon to the move. Right, so I did one Smackdown, maybe two. I think it was just one. So it needs 6 more. So you need that, which is 9 seconds. In case you let any Smackdowns through, then you need to be able to get to 2 Hydro Cannons. 9 seconds as well. But in case you let any through, you need that little bit of extra energy. Okay, so she's gonna Umbreon versus Drifblim. No, Umbreon, Drifblim, and Victory Bell. And then basically the concept here is that both these Pokemon in the back can handle counter users, like and then they throw a Brick there, which is pretty interesting, like a Vigoroth. I don't know why they threw energy there. This is definitely a misplay, but that's okay. Probably not used to the aggressive swaps that occur in these type of matches. So she's going to throw the Shadow Ball here. And these are really chunking here. So probably going to let this go. Definitely could consider shielding. Going to go to Umbreon here. You definitely want to be able to leave this matchup with energy. So she gets the extra Snarl in. And then I think at this point in time, she's considering snarling down. They actually make an aggressive swap into Vigoroth. You kind of have to shield this in the fear of the body slam. They end up brick breaking. And then they make a totally 5-head play here by actually throwing the body slam. So, which is still fine. She's able to farm down. So this whatever is going to come in is going to have very minimal farm. And then she throws the Leaf Blade here. Maybe could have thrown the Acid Spray. But gets a shield, which is the most important part. She overtaps there by throwing the extra Snarl when she's already at 100 energy, or almost at 100 energy. Gonna throw the Foul Play again. So this is looking pretty favorable for her. And gonna have to shield the Rock Slide. Doesn't really have much of a choice here. And the Bastiodon is energy dry, but has a little bit of health here. And there are like 3 counters right now. Okay, so she ends up farming down, which is definitely not necessary, because you only get 1 move off anyways versus the Deoxys. So once you double up, you can just throw both charge moves, and then you're in a pretty good spot there. So yeah, as you can see in the chat, the farm down flex. This next team is Abomasnow, Deoxys, and Amoga. So again, 2 Pokemon that protect against fighting, as you can see here. And she's trying to determine when to throw, because you don't want to throw the Psycho Boost too early and then be debuffed. So by throwing it later, and she actually gets an extra counter through, can live a Night Slash. It does a lot of damage from Primate, because Primate obviously very attack weighted. Here, gonna have to shield the second one here, but got another extra counter through, so should be able to land the Psycho Boost and then land the third one before the Primate. By throwing later, as you can see, the counter damage did way more. They come into Stunfisk, which actually would have been a really good answer to Deoxys, but obviously they're probably not aware of that. They end up actually shielding this like extremely debuffed Psycho Boost, and they throw right away, which is fantastic for her. And gonna go to Abomasnow here, and not gonna shield here. This is likely a Mud Bomb, yeah, which obviously Abomasnow resists. And then here comes Machamp. No, not Machamp. Hitmonchan. Gonna throw the Weather Ball here. Does a lot of damage. And then gonna look to, I think she farms down here. No matter what move that gets thrown here, she would be able to live it. And Ice Punch is the worst move that can be thrown there. Even if she got farmed down, that would have been okay too, because she would have it doesn't really matter here, to be honest. Gonna throw these Aerial Aces. They do absolutely nothing to this Stunfisk, since it resists the Aerial Ace. It also triple resists Discharge here, so it's unfortunately the better move. But yeah, this game is over here. Gonna be all, the opponent knows it as well, because they had they should have had energy for the Mud Bomb. Maybe it was CMP tie there. This is gonna be GG. Okay, as you can see in this next team, very similar concept. Deoxys and Medicham are like the supreme counter users, and then Golbat is another flyer that's able to handle counter users. Okay, so gonna go Ariados here, which is not great. Gonna go into Medicham here to catch the lunge, which is gonna be neutral. They go into Pidgeot here. Gonna throw the Ice Punch. They end up shielding the Ice Punch. I forget what she does here. She shields here, which I actually don't think is the right play, because now they're going to be able to farm down. Yeah, and this Feather Dance is too strong. It's way too strong of a move. Like, gonna Gonna throw here. This is actually this is a bait. Oh man, this is actually definitely would have lived the feather dance. This is actually IV dependent on who wins CMP. Okay, so it's gonna switch into Golbat here. Golbat absolutely mauls Gyarados. Resists everything or double resist. They actually throwing Lunge here does a laughable amount of damage, but they go into Azumarill. Definitely should be throwing the Poison Fangs as soon as possible, because you want to drop the defense. And now you're throwing like a neutral Poison Fang, and this is gonna be drops the defense again, which is great. They throw the Ice Beam, just barely doesn't KO. And she's going to have to take an Ice Beam. So she throws the Weather Ball bait here. It's basically her only win con here. They end up shielding because they want to get this Ice Beam off. I think that's a mistake on their side. They actually have to throw the Play Rough. So they have one here. This Weather Ball does quite a bit to Gyarados, but doesn't KO. And then she needs to get to... The Weather Ball definitely won't KO. It would be really close. If it was Shadow Bomb Snow, it definitely would KO. But as a regular Bomb Snow, going for the Energy Ball definitely made the most sense there. This next team, a little bit spicy. Alolan Raichu, Celio, and Breloom. Basically 2 Swampert counters in the back. So I think, in my opinion, she made a misplay here, which is fine. Going for the Psychic, I think you just go 2 Wild Charges here, especially since you're not shielding. You're not intending to shield this matchup. They throw the Power Up Punch bait. Definitely could have shielded this. It ended up being an Ice Punch, which is not great for her, especially since this Hitmonchan is boosted. As you can see, these counter damage are doing so much. Her Breloom is so squishy here. It's basically dead at this point in time. Definitely should have went double Wild Charge. Okay, here comes Wigglytuff. Oh my gosh, this is so terrible here. Yeah, switching here, and then they make a very nice catch here. They catch the Body Slam onto Bastodon, which does absolutely nothing. But yeah, it doesn't really matter here. Maybe she could have made it to 2 Water Pulses. Well, 2 Water Pulses is enough to KO? Definitely not, right? Like, and then they still have the Wigglytuff, right? So there's no way you can counter down the Bastodon at that health. So I think if she played the lead a little bit better there, would have been actually in a pretty decent spot there. So this obviously not good here. That's why you have 2 Pokemon. One Pokemon's a hard counter, and the other Pokemon is loses to Marowak, but doesn't lose that badly, which is Vigoroth. In my opinion, she should have switched to Vigoroth there, but they were very slow on the switch here, honestly. Gonna shield this Ice Beam there, which I think is necessary. Kind of a tricky situation. These Stone Edges actually do a decent amount of damage there. It's definitely another Ice Beam, but again, kind of no choice here. Gonna throw the Stone Edge. Man, the Stone Edge actually did quite a bit of damage. Gonna land another one. Unfortunately, these lock-ons do almost no damage. Not gonna be enough to lock on down. Should live an Ice Beam here. They end up throwing the Ice Beam into Vigoroth, which is very good for her. And it's actually, they make a really nice catch here, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter too much, because this Marowak is just gonna look to intend to farm down, but actually ended up being a CMP tie. So this ends up being really good for her. This Marowak has almost no energy. If it does have energy, Likely it's just going to be a Bone Club. There's no way it has energy for the Shadow Bone. Yeah, and Bone Club is obviously Bone Club's a garbage move, right? So, and then going to switch out for sure. And then Ninetales can clean up Abomasnow. This ends up being a Razor Leaf Abomasnow. This is definitely just a Weather Ball here, so it doesn't really matter. She's in total control here. And then, as you can see, the team is constructed to try to cover its weaknesses. With save swaps with energy, you can overcome bad leads. Or if you misplay, then you can also end up losing as well. All right, Munchlax, Marowak, and Wormadam Trash. Obviously, some of these teams are going to be pretty rough to build. So they have energy for the Earthquake here. She ends up shielding, which I think is a good call. And then she's going to play some Mind Games here. Since she shielded, then they'll probably shield, which ends up being correct. Unfortunately, Bulldoze is a garbage move. So she gets to the Bulldoze. They definitely should have made it to the Earthquake already. Ends up being a CMP here, which I actually don't think that should be correct. 1, 2, okay. But maybe that is. And then she has two choices here: Confusion down or Fire Spin down. She chooses to Confusion down because they should be dry and they're not going to be able to make it to a move. Unfortunately, it ends up being a Marowak here, so she switches out. And here comes Azumarill. She throws a Bone Club bait here, but honestly, there's just no way this Azumarill is going to shield. So, it might... Yeah, definitely a misplay there. She Ice Beams. She gets Ice Beamed. Gonna throw the Shadow Bone here. They get an extra bubble through. But there's not really too much she can do here. I think she ends up shielding here, trying to find her only win con, and which is building up to the Shadow Bone here, and then switching. She throws Iron Head here, which should be enough to KO. And honestly, there's not really too much she can do here. She throws the Iron Head here, hoping that they would shield, which they end up shielding, and then it comes down to CMP here. Obviously, they shouldn't have shielded. She could have had Psybeam, which is the other move that it could have, but it definitely wouldn't KO. So, her opponent gave her a window to win. Unfortunately, she loses CMP here. This next team is everyone's favorite team, Obscune Double Charm. So, can lead to Metachamp, which is not great. Gonna go into Wigglytuff here, and they go into Azumarill. So she can win the switch here. She should win the switch here. Wigglytuff can basically one shield and charm down, depending on how XL this is. Azumarill is. She did get one charm through, which is really helpful for her. And then she gets a second charm through, which is really huge for her. She gets Ice Beam baited again. Because of the charm getting through, she got a third one through actually. They're not actually able to make it to the presumed Hydro Pump. So they end up fading here. And then here comes G-Fist. G-Fist is going to get a monster farm here. So obviously they should have came G-Fist into it, but they're predicting the second Charmer. So they're saving G-Fist for that Charmer. She gets the counter through again, which is very good for her. Earthquake. She switches out into Gardevoir here. She should be able to live any move that this Metachamp throws. They end up throwing the Psychic, so likely they have Pup and Psychic. They get their Fence Fall, which is actually really huge for them, because honestly, it almost allows them to farm down. I think they were worried that they would. This game's over, right? So, oh, okay. Actually, they get to a Rock Slide here. But Obstagoon can live the Rock Slide, so no problem. Able to KO. Very nice, and that ends up being a good game there. Okay, this next team is Altaria, Politoed, and Ivysaur. I actually told her to Elite TM to Earthquake here, which I ended up really hugely backfiring, to be honest, because they actually end up no shielding here. I'm not sure how in the world they would no shield that. And they end up air releasing here. There's just no way they could. Yeah, I don't know. That was a very gutsy call on their side. I do think Earthquake is the superior move for Politoed, but maybe in this team control, as a safe switch, Blizzard would have been better here. But it's hard to say. I think she ends up getting hard counter because I think it's a Marowak in the back. So I'm just gonna save everyone a little bit of time here, and just hop on a few minutes ahead. Okay. Ends up being a Marowak in the back, so she got trigger hard countered. Lucario into Shiftry. So she misplays here. She no shields here, but this ends up just KOing the Lucario, which is very bad for her. Obviously, Lucario was pretty important to her team. And you'll see why in the end it ended up being really important. So she throws the Avalanche here. So she throws the Avalanche. Okay, and they have a Magneton here. Oh man, Lucario would have been so good here. She gets another Charm through, which is going to happen for sure when they throw exactly when they get to the Magnet Bomb. So she's always going to get the Charm through because of the nature that they're throwing at. They're throwing at 5 seconds, and then the 4th Charm completes at 6 seconds, but starts at 4.5. Unfortunately, she's not able to Charm down in time. And it wouldn't have mattered to air anyways, because the Shiftry had a move, so it would have been able to. Well, I don't know. It would have been close. She needed to switch out. Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, she had no real way to win after losing that Lucario. So it's a good lead. So they get the Ice Beam in the middle of the 4th Volt Switch here, or the 3/4 of the way through here. So she thinks that Galvantula is double good against this team. So she baits here, and then gonna look to throw the Discharge here. But safer to throw both Discharges here because you're basically just like reducing the bubble damage. They come into Bastiodon. So she goes into Hypno here. Gonna let this go. They Stone Edge here. So when you're a Confusion user and you're going up against someone that has a 3-turn move, you should try to throw 2 Confusions before throwing. The reason why is when you throw 2 Confusions, that's like 2 seconds, or that's 4 seconds, and then 3 Smackdowns is 4.5 seconds. So if you let's see what we're gonna no shield this Flamethrower, makes sense. They come into Diggersby here, and gonna look to throw this Hydro Cannon. And they're going to switch here. Really wants this debuff here, but ends up just sacking the Galvantula, which is fine too, because they get to the move here, but she got an extra one through, which is really good for her. And then should be able to outpace this versus this Diggersby, no problem. and land. So they kind of made a weird play there by staying in the zoom roll, but that's okay. It happens. And they come into Bastion here, going to be able to farm it down. Very nice. All right. Going Mew into a zoom roll here. So she had the correct idea. They throw the Ice Beam here, which she's going to no shield, which I think is the right play. And then she's going to throw the Wild Charge here. So they should be energy dry. And she goes into Hitmonchan. And then going to look to land this Thunder Punch, which she does. And yeah, I think she makes the correct play by going into Hitmonchan. For another reason is that if they have a Hypno in the back, and then, oh my gosh, that Fire Punch did so much damage to that Venusaur. Okay, so she's going to look to potentially counter down. Very nice. They come to Hex Marowak. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't come to Hex Marowak in the first place, but gonna look to throw this Thunder Punch here. Okay, and then throw another Thunder Punch. Missing a few bubbles there. It's quite alright. And they actually, like, Hex is a pretty low damage move and actually allows her to get to another Thunder Punch, which is actually really huge here because yeah, that thing almost KO'd the Marowak. Gonna go into Venusaur here. There's no way that they throw the Fire Blast here. And they have to throw again, or else this Venusaur would be able to farm down this Marowak. They throw the Flame Wheel. And then she's gonna look to Shadow Claw down. So definitely made the right claw, in my opinion. They kind of made a weird play by staying in, but that's okay. Dugong, Beedrill, Sableye. Again, look to double protect against fighting. Beedrill is also a really strong grass answer. And then Sableye is a very, very good safe switch. They end up leading a Zoom Roll, which is fine. She got an extra Ice Shard through. And they actually end up having Hydro Pump, which is really good for her in this matchup. You end up beating the Hydro Pump variant pretty badly, but they actually make, I think they misclicked here because they actually had I'm not entirely sure what they're doing right now because they should have, maybe they actually shouldn't have. 14 turns. I guess that's enough for the second Hydro Pump. They actually end up having Play Rough, but it's triple debuff by the time they actually throw the Play Rough. So this is very good for her. And then, so they should have the Play Rough now, and she's going to be able to farm down this Dugong. The Zoom Roll wouldn't be able to win the 0, but that's quite alright. And then she's going to look to throw the Icy Wind here. And then look to farm down. And then here comes Ferrothorn. This is enough for the Power Whip, which she ends up shielding. And throwing the Foul Play. And then she's going to switch out into Beedrill. She lives any move from the Ferrothorn. Given how they're throwing right now, this is likely a Thunder. They throw right here. Yeah, this is definitely a Thunder. The Poison Jabs are single resisted because they end up catching the move here. But they end up shielding because they think it's a drill run, which is a fair assessment. And they actually end up throwing the move here, which is, again, is okay too, because there's a good chance she wouldn't be able to make it to the to the move. And then she ends up no shielding this Bone Club. And gonna throw the Foul Play here. And this Ferrothorn is almost KO'd. So it does have some energy, but it's not gonna be able to get off 2 moves. I actually think it was 1 bullet seed away. So she's able to win that match there. Very nice. I like how some of these other matches were super quick, and then some of these later ones were take a really long time. So this next team is Registeel, Meganium, Pelipper. Again, mostly protecting its Swampert, and like Politoed are the two main objectives here. Ends up being a Whimsicott lead. They go to Deoxys here. Throws the Flashkin here, which I think is totally fine. Gonna go Meganium. She will have to shield, but she doesn't need to shield these first ones. They have almost enough energy for the next Rock Slide. So she has to shield this in case they shield again and look to try to counter down. So it needs to preserve the health. Obviously, when Frenzy Plant doesn't KO, it would have been better if she threw the Frenzy Plant beforehand, because you can kind of get a gauge of what your opponent's going to do. But I think this is fine here. Probably maybe could have farmed up a little bit more. That's totally fine though. They come into Talonflame. In my opinion, I think she would have made it to the Earthquake. So this Talonflame has quite a bit of energy. They tried to catch the move there. Unfortunately, they were not able to. Okay, so she's going to throw the Flash Cannon here right away, which I think is fine. Because if they no shielded, then they were already pretty close to 100 energy on the Talonflame. So I like this no shield, even though she almost got charmed down, because you really can't let this Talonflame farm out too much. She throws this extra wing attack, which I think is actually pretty dangerous here. But this Weather Ball should be enough to KO the Talonflame. This next team is Shiftry, Hypno, and Electrode. Pretty tricky here. Mandibuzz is definitely a huge core breaker for this team. So she goes into Hypno, which is okay. Maybe staying was the better move. It's hard to say, because you're throwing either double resisted fast moves and super effective charge move, or they end up shielding. Or you throw just resisted fast moves and resisted charge moves. And as well, they have, but you resist the... It's hard to say which one's a better situation here. So she goes into Electrode here, which is obviously a very good matchup versus Mandibuzz. I think she she shields this first one. And then, again, you want to throw two, then throw, because you give up the least amount of guaranteed... So they were able to get to the move there because, okay, so she's going to double shield here, which is fine. As you can see, you don't see the animation through because only one turn has gone through, and less than half the charge move has. Okay, they have a Shadow Victory Bell here. She's going to foul play it. But unfortunately, she has a Leaf Tornado here. Which is really bad for her. If she would have had Leaf Blade here, she would have been able to throw the Leaf Blade beforehand and preserve the health, or she would have committed to the farm down, then it would have been fine too. See, undercharges, which is nice. They have Jellicent. So they're at 2 right now. 2, 3, 4, 5. So they definitely should have enough for the Shadow Ball here. I'm not entirely sure what they were doing here, because they end up throwing the Bubble Beam. Very weird play there. Yeah, extremely weird play there. I have no idea. She definitely should have won that game if she had the right moveset too. Okay, obviously a bad lead here. But I'm going to go into Talonflame. So she ends up shielding here. And then baiting, which is okay. She definitely could have thrown the move sooner. But it's okay. Yeah, if she would have thrown the flame charges sooner, she would have been in like an okay spot here. She no shields here, but the problem here is that because she was like didn't throw the flame charges right away, it meant that this Hypno ends up getting to 2 moves here. These 2 moves end up being like really costly for her. Actually, I don't think it actually didn't matter here because I think there's a hard answer in the back. A very hard answer in the back is actually really, really challenging for her. She baits here. And then switches. Unfortunately, they have Mock in the back, and yeah, that's gonna be a GG for. Shields this, but there's really no way she ends up getting acid sprayed, and then it's not like one would KO anyway, so didn't really make a difference there. So it ends up being a GG. Okay, gonna go Lickitung, Shadow Machamp, and Ufisk. So this is a pretty okay matchup. This is a good matchup for Lickitung, I should say. This is definitely just an Ice Beam because only 7.5 seconds have elapsed, and then it takes 8.5 to get to the Power Whip here, and then I believe she no shields this as well. They end up throwing the Play Rough. Doesn't make a difference though. Good timing on the Body Slam throw here. And then gonna look down. Very nice. Their Talon Flame here. She ends up, in my opinion, maybe should have let it go down because they end up having Superior here. She throws Mud Bomb here, but Discharge is definitely better. But again, these are Pokemon that she doesn't normally play with, right? Discharge is more energy efficient move. It's not that great a move either, but it's certainly better. You basically trade off 5 more energy for, they end up Leaf Tornado, no debuff, for 10 more damage. So it's usually favorable to go for it, as well as like better energy synchronization with Thundershock. So she didn't get any extra Mud Bomb, so but that ends up being okay. So she really needs just to catch a move here. So she would have caught this Leaf Tornado here, or one of the Flame Charges, then I think she would have been okay. The attack ended up harshly falling. But she basically needs to counter this down, but just not going to be possible. They have like way too much energy at this point in time. Yeah, that's going to be a GG. It's okay. These matchups are very challenging here, right? Like to do this type of challenges is really really tough here. She leads Bastodon into Mandibus, so obviously a good matchup here. They go into Seeking here, so she misclicks here, goes into Azumarill. Obviously should have went to Jellicent. Jellicent would have been able to handle Seeking no problem, since it resists the poison jabs as opposed to taking super effective. But it's difficult. Like when you're playing different teams here, right? Like you kind of forget how to play each of the safe switches here, which is why sometimes my switches are a little bit slower than I want them to be. So she goes Jellicent here. Honestly, Seeking still does like a lot of damage to Jellicent, as you can see here. Gonna throw the Shadow Ball here. And then they end up having Surfetch. And they play this out very nicely on their side. it would have been, honestly, Surfetch would have been really tough to beat in the back because it does have super effective Leaf Blade to both Pokemon in the back. So honestly, I'm not entirely sure this match would have been a given. Um, actually, do think that they probably would end up losing. I think they probably would end up winning. Two shield Surfetch would take a lot of fast move damage, and they come into Mandibuzz here. Gonna throw this Ice Beam, but it's not gonna be enough. And they have Air Slash on their Mandibuzz. Yeah, there's not really too much. They have the move right here. Yeah. They end up having a move here, so it would have been a really tough matchup in the back. Obviously, going to the correct switch would have been really nice there. But again, these challenges are really tough, right? You're running all these different teams. You forget which is the safe swap. So this is not good for her. So she goes into Tentacruel. They go into Venusaur here, but this is the power of the new Poison Jab, and plus the power of the cheaper Acid Spray. They probably shield there because maybe thinking that she had Sludge Wave. Gonna throw this Acid Spray again. But Tentacruel can definitely win the CMP, win the 2 shield with this kind of energy advantage. And they come into Bastiodon here. Obviously, Bastiodon would have been a great answer to Tentacruel, but obviously I'm not entirely sure why they didn't go into it. But they wanted to avoid the Victini Bastiodon matchup. They end up not farming down, which I think it makes sense. So she slight misplays here. So what she should have done was throw the V create and then switch. She should have switched here because these confusion damages are resisted as opposed to being neutral against the zoom roll later, which they would have been handy. It also allowed this Bastiodon to get to a move. And then it ends up being like a really close game here. So you've seen throughout this video, she got like a number of different fast moves through. They actually ended up having a Hydro Pump, and because they got that bubble through, that ended up letting them win the game there. Because she ends up losing by 1 turn here. Look at this. Look at how close it is. So they have the energy here for the Ice Beam, and that's going to be a GG for her. But thank you very much, Cindy, for trying on this challenge. I know people are going to write in the comments, she should have did this, she should have did that. But I really applaud her for trying this challenge. She used to basically playing the same team for each league through the entire season. To go from that to like unique challenges is really, really challenging and really tough. And she did a really great job. I think she ended up going 16-9. So I'm really proud of her. She did a lot of really great battles and a lot of really clutch matchups. And obviously, as she won more, the competition became a lot tougher. So really well played by her opponents as well. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see everyone in the next video.